Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1417A and today's date is November 5th, 2017, and the title of the episode is The Economy's Deteriorating Quickly as the Nation's Debt Spikes. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with Rob Kirby. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It'll bring you right to the video. Or you can come over to the X22Report.com site or NewSentinel.com site. And all you need to do is scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You'll see the video there. You can play it right on the site. Or you can go to Steemit. That's steemit.com/@X22Report. And you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, as we know, we've been talking about retail and how the economy is deteriorating, and we've been following this and tracking this for quite a while. Now, what's very interesting is everyone's saying that everything is moving to online, and we kind of debunked this a long time ago. And what we're seeing right now is that the malls, well, they're deteriorating at a very, very fast pace right now. CBL Properties, a mall REIT with about 119 mostly retail-oriented properties. They reported earnings and shares, well, they plunged by 26% on Friday. They'd already been dropping for years because the brick-and-mortar retail meltdown is structural and not new and will not turn around before it's finished melting down. Now, shares of CBL are down by 50% year-to-date and 75% since May of 2013. This quarter's results fell below their expectations as their revenues were impacted by additional bankruptcy, store closures, and rent concessions. And this is coming from CEO Stephen Lebovitz. Now, we can see right now that the mall areas, they have been hit very, very hard. And stores have been closing down left and right. They're going bankrupt, and there's a lot of space that is open right now. That the occupancy rate of all property declined by 40 basis points to about 93.1%. Mall occupancy rate declined a full percentage point to 91.6%. Now, there are other mall REITs that dove in the same way. They completely imploded on themselves. Kimco Realty, they are down 2.1% today and 42% since the end of July of 2016. We see MAC they're down by 2.2% and 39% since the end of July of 2016. Simon Properties Group down by 2.7%, 32% since the end of July of 2016. General Growth Properties, they're down 2.9% and they're down 41% since the end of July of 2016. And it goes on and on and on. And we can see that malls, they're having a very difficult time right now. And we're going to see a lot more stores close after this holiday season because we can see right now, according to all the reports, and I'm not talking about the corporate media and the government and the Fed, I'm talking about what is really happening out on the street with everyday people where they are losing their jobs. The people in retail, they're losing their jobs, and they can't find these high-paying jobs. I know the unemployment numbers are at 4.1%, but when you look at the manipulation, you can see how they got this number down. We discussed it many, many times before. We know that they don't count those people that haven't been on an interview for 4 weeks. A part-time job is considered a full-time job, and when you put all this together, you can see how they can manipulate this and continually bring the unemployment rate down, and they continually convince everyone that everything is fantastic. They've done this in the past, and they had to manipulate even further because the economy is deteriorating at a very, very fast pace. Now, we understand this debt ceiling charade. It's being played out every few years in Congress, and it's being played out right now. And what we're seeing right now is that instead of raising the debt ceiling, Congress this time, they decided to, just suspend it. And they only suspended it through December 8th, after which the whole argument about the debt ceiling will start up once again. And we know that they're going to try to push this out until 2018. But what we're seeing right now is that over just these 6 years, the debt has ballooned by $5.7 trillion or 39% from $14.8 trillion to $20.5 trillion. The current post-debt ceiling spike has reached $640 billion and continues to surge. So we have seen in the last 8 weeks, the debt has spiked by $640 billion. That's more than half a trillion right now in 8 weeks. And we've seen this before. If we go back in time and we go back to 2013 when they had the debt ceiling argument, well, they suspended it or whatever they did at that time. The debt rose by $464 billion. In 2015, the debt ceiling argument, once again, all of a sudden we had a spike in November of $650 billion. And here we are today, $640 billion surge in the debt. So nothing has gone away. Everything is status quo. And the government, they can't do anything. They have to continually borrow money, and they have to continually fund all these entitlement programs. And it is getting worse and worse as time goes on. It is not improving whatsoever. Now, on November 1st, the Treasury warned, and they said the following: if Congress fails to increase or further suspend the debt limit by December 8th, as it has in the past, they can take certain extraordinary measures to continue to finance the government on a temporary basis. Now, extraordinary measures will allow the government to continue to meet its obligations through January 2018. And we know they're going to be used in the stabilization fund, where they have trillions and trillions of dollars in this fund where they can basically fund the government for quite a while. Now, again, this was created out of thin air. A lot of the money was stolen and put into this fund. And we see right now that they're going to be pushing this all the way into January of 2018. But once again, we have the same exact problem. This is not going to go away. And what's going to happen is they're going to raise the debt ceiling because they have no alternative. And we're going to add more and more debt. This will never, ever end. Now, there was a report which was recently published by UBS. And they wanted to show what has been happening around the world, especially with the wealthy individuals, the billionaires. And what we're seeing today is that those individuals, they are becoming wealthier and wealthier as the 80 to 90% of the population is actually getting poorer and poorer. Their wages are continually declining. They're losing their assets and they're losing their jobs. And billionaires right now increase their combined global wealth by almost a fifth last year to a record $6 trillion, more than twice the GDP of UK. There are now 1,542 billionaires across the world after 145 multimillionaires saw their wealth tick over into 9-0 fortunes last year. Now, the UBS Billionaires Report 2017 is an indication that we are entering a new and very unique time in history. Not since the Gilded Age of the early 1900s have we seen such a dramatic rise in the wealth of a small handful of people. This was during the rise of the industrial era, where a small handful of individuals and families, they were able to reshape the entire culture to work in their favor. We are seeing the same thing happen once again. And back then, what we saw was a backlash from the general public. And I believe we're going to most likely see the same exact thing. Now, the government realizes that they have a debt problem. They realize they're not bringing in enough funds. They realize that the tax receipts, the federal tax receipts that are coming into the government, they are declining. And they needed to go out and find more income. And this is why they created FATCA and GACA. And FATCA, that allows the government to go out around the world and say, listen, you owe us this money. No matter if you're working in the United States or not, you just owe it. And it forced the banks and financial institutions to report these individuals because the government at this point is desperate to find as much as they possibly can to keep their whole entire system funded. And this is what they've been doing right now. And what has happened since this time, since they passed FATCA, those people who are renouncing their citizenship, that continually rises. And it sounds like a very small number, but it's continually moving up and up and up. Now, the latest list that came out is that there's about 1,376 people that are renouncing their citizenship. Now, it does sound like it's a small number, but the total of 2017 is projected to be more than 20% higher than 2016. And 2016 was 26% higher than the total number from 2015. In fact, the number of Americans renouncing their citizenship has been rising dramatically for years. And what did FATCA do? Well, it brought in a couple of billion, but it wasn't as much as they thought. They thought they were going to find trillions out there, and it is not working the way they thought it was going to work. The funds, they're just not there. And we can see that people are saying, listen, I can't pay taxes to the country I'm in. I can't pay taxes to the United States. And they're renouncing their citizenship, and this is continuing. And we can see right now with the wealthy, with the debt that is continually being added, with the deterioration of the economy, this whole thing cannot be sustained. It is breaking down right in front of us. And many people who are in the dark right now, they're going to be very, very shocked when everything starts to fall apart very, very quickly. And this is why we've been saying get ready, get prepared, because as we can see, everything is starting to fall apart. And remember, the retail market, it's a $1 trillion market. Online sales is only 10% of the total retail market. Yes, a lot more individuals are going online, but it hasn't taken over the brick and mortar store. The reason why brick and mortar is having such a hard time is because they expanded so quickly during the boom when everyone was taking out equity loans, everyone felt good, people had money, and now everything is contracting where people don't have the funds. People don't have the jobs, people don't have the high-paying jobs. And if you went from being, an executive or something and making 80, 90, 100,000, and you have two part-time jobs, or you got a waiter, part-time waiter job, bartender, plus a part-time just to make ends meet, you don't have the same funds that you had before to go out and purchase in retail. And this is what we're seeing right now. And we're going to see a lot of space open up. We're going to see a lot of more stores close down. We're going to see a lot more layoffs. And remember, the corporations, they've been lying about their revenue, their sales. They've been buying back their stocks. The whole thing has been built on a house of cards. And once one card can't handle that weight anymore and it comes crashing down, everything else comes crashing down on top of it. And that's where we are headed right now. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.